Yeah. Yeah. We are ready.
Sí, señora.
All right, we are ready and live here, Northwest Sports Talk. We are here, Lavelle and Scott. Prim is on his way, late as usual, but we won't get into that. So just a few things I want to talk about. I know we're going to debate today a little bit I want to talk about the Geno Smith project, and I call it a project because it seems like that's what it is. 3 interceptions on the goal line, throwing it to nobody. He looked bad, so bad that I was literally yelling for the backup quarterback, and I never do that. So I was frustrated, and I was like, what is he doing? So I want to talk about that a little bit today. Are the expectations too high for the Seattle Seahawks?
Might be.
Yeah, were they too high? And the O-line, D-line, we got to get that fixed. We got a lot of talented players, and to fix that O-line, it's going to take more than just one first-round draft pick. So we got to figure that out. And if the O-line keeps playing this way, who are we going to trade? Who is on our team that is sexy enough to trade for some draft capital to get better? Because obviously, and this is something that was brought up, that McDonald, our coach, is playing with Pete Carroll's guys. Pete Carroll's guys. Obviously, you want to get your own guys in there.
And they're loyal to him, too.
Absolutely. And outside of Geno Smith's debacle, one thing we haven't talked about is Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. The world loves to talk about the Cowboys, what they're going through down there in Big D. And is Dak Prescott better than Geno Smith? Just kind of something to think about. And what happened to the Saints? The Saints in the first 2 weeks looked like probably the best team in football. And then they just seemed like they just gave up.
They're trying to work things out, too, though.
Yeah, they're trying. But they're
trying to figure out, are they going to go with Derek Carr, or are they going to go with the new guy, Spencer Rattler?
Yeah. They're figuring some things out.
Spencer Rattler was hyped coming out of college.
I love Carr. I don't know what this thing is, but I love Carr. But
I'll tell you what happened to Carr.
Tell me.
He left Vegas.
Absolutely.
He was great with that scheme.
Yeah.
He was great with the Raiders, and he left, and now he's like, nobody talks about him anymore.
That's true. And there's something I want to talk about with you. Is since here he is. And since I want to talk a little bit about baseballs, it's over, but I want to know the top 5 teams that you project for next year. And is there a surprise team coming through the cracks that might surprise us next year? So just something to think about, to dive into. Matter of fact, you'll probably get more fluent conversation from Prim. I'll just sit here and pretend like I know baseball. So
pretend I know football.
You know a little bit more. You know more about football than I do baseball. That's for sure. So Prim is here. So let's talk about the Geno Smith situation. I called you. I got on live with you. I was yelling and screaming at the television. He was off, and we, without his interceptions, we win that game easily, even with a suspect offensive line, easily. But I do want to. I found some interesting before we jump down Geno Smith's throat, and we start throwing our pom poms for the backup quarterback to start. He has the most passing yards in the league. Right?
He's got the most attempts too. Yeah. We are.
I'm gonna dominate this conversation anyway. They said he's the most efficient, but it also says that he has one average of 1.8 seconds to throw the ball, the least in the NFL. And so with that being said, because I've always said if Geno Smith has better protection, he will light the NFL up. And I think he has the same weakness as Tom Brady. They said Tom Brady, he said you can put a lot of pressure on him, he starts tap dancing. You know what I'm saying? Peyton Manning, knock him off his spot, right? And Geno Smith a lot of times doesn't have confidence in his line. Looks like he's going back kind of like what Russell Wilson started doing. Dropping back and seeing ghost. and start guessing and start trying to anticipate throws that aren't even there, and he does it at the wrong time. Like you don't throw, you don't see ghosts at the goal line. At the end of the day, you get a field goal, right? And then just one more thing before you jump down my throat. Was it the right move in overtime to go for it on fourth down when you could have gotten a field goal? I was like, you couldn't get a 4th and a half a yard, running to the left side, running behind cross. Something to think about. I know I gave you a lot to think about, so go ahead.
So with Geno, I think you touched something, right? And I saw it too, and you said seeing ghosts. And it happens. He was sacked 7 times. You know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, then you're going to see. I mean, there was times they came in free. It was like there was no speed bump. There was nothing to even just slow down the rush, right? So what happens in that situation, the quarterback is in a situation where he has to speed up his thought process and the way that he's going to actually move. It looked like the protections on the line weren't set correctly. Again, I think we talked about it last week, and what I was saying was that we don't know their defensive coordinator as well as they know our offense, and they really don't, because everything's new with Seattle, right? We know their offense. We don't know their defense. So now that you look at it and you say, okay, well, you have a line that gets no push. The first thing that you have to establish a run is to be able to establish the line of scrimmage. If you cannot establish the line of scrimmage, there is no push. There is no opportunity to run the ball, right? So with Geno, I'm seeing a situation where you brought up to Tom Brady. They said that back with Tom Brady was if you had hands around his feet, the hands around his feet. It don't matter if the defender's on the ground trying to get to him. It was going to rattle him somewhat, right? Geno actually has been good in that aspect. He has been real good in that aspect. If you go back the last 2 years, his efficiency rating in those situations where he's had pressure on him, he has been actually phenomenal. The problem is, I think he's been hit one too many times this year. We look at it and we go, we can go back to take it back further, and we say David Carr. If you remember David Carr down there in Houston, the fact that they allowed him to get beat up so much, he was never the right type of quarterback. And when you're screaming for the backup quarterback, I'm screaming for him too, because honestly, there's something fundamentally broken with this offense. We started the season seeing this offense clicking. Things were happening. And granted, there were lesser opponents that we were playing at the time, right? But the continuity between having, and I guess that's the issue too, having 5 solid linemen lined up with each other every single week makes a difference. Well, we haven't seen that. We still haven't seen that. Matter of fact, it's funny because I'm hearing that they're going to make a major adjustment or a major change on the offensive line come this week. They're calling for Connor Williams to move to guard. Yeah, they're calling for Connor Williams to move from center to guard. They're talking about what's the worst that could happen at this point, because your right guard, Bradford, and your right guard, Haynes, you're not getting anything from them. Nothing productive from the two of them, right? So now that you look at the situation, you have a situation where you want to figure out, can we bring in Sundell or Olawatimi to actually be that center in this situation? So and supposedly Abe is supposed to be back this week. I heard Lucas is supposed to be back this week. The question I have there is, he's been out so long, does he even still know how to play this game? It's been 2 years. I mean, You can push on a truck like Walter Jones did during his holdouts, but do you still know the fundamentals and the technique of playing this position? Of course you do. It's like riding a bicycle, right? So what has to happen is the physicality and the mentality of playing week 10 basically will be week 11 because we have this bye week. But you have to be mentally and emotionally ready to and connected to being able to play a little bit more aggressive this week. I think realistically it's not just a Geno Smith issue. It is an offensive line issue that has to be fixed to get us back to where we need to get to. He's struggling right now. And the struggle, I think, comes from the fact that within the protections, not being able to protect him, he's seeing ghosts. He's seeing things that aren't there. There's, like you said, the pass down on the goal line I saw, and he threw the interception, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, who did you see? Who was there? I think the closest person was Kenneth Walker was in that area. But what are you anticipating? One of the things that had troubled me about Geno is sometimes his lack of anticipation when he throws. I'm thinking with this offensive line, he's anticipating and he's throwing way too soon, but he doesn't have time. We talked about it. We've been talking about it for a while. How long does a quarterback actually have? They're saying it takes him 1.8 to get the ball out. We've been talking about 1.3. 1.8 is average, right? But we're talking about 1.3 for him because his line can't hold up an extra 0.5. So until we actually make a situation where the speed bumps are there, at least trip somebody, pinch somebody, scratch somebody. You cannot allow yourselves to get rolled over and dominated by another defensive line every single week. That's going to be a problem. And until they fix that line, this season's over with.
And
Check.
hello? Okay.
Yeah, we
So-
back.
Right now, it seems to me like Geno is playing more like Bo Callahan from draft day. He plays great until he gets hit, and then he's rattled for a couple of plays. And then all of a sudden he plays good, and then he gets hit again, and he's rattled. And that's literally what it looks like to me, that our entire offense is playing that way at the moment. Exactly.
Guys are a mess. Well, I
knew you'd catch that reference.
I was watching a clip about offensive line play. What is that? There's a Seahawk. He's on the a Seahawks podcast a lot. He used to play for the Broncos, Hall of Fame guard. Yeah, Marshall Laird. So he talks about O-line play, and I was listening to his expertise, and he said, for the average fan, they don't realize how much it takes to play O-line from the neck up. And he said it's not that the Seahawks don't have the talent to be a good offensive line, but it's they don't have the mental capacity or whatever to play together. They don't know where their help is. They don't know their leverage. Can I get beat on, or where can't I not get beat? And then using that to your advantage, knowing the slide and protections and the ins and outs. So with this being a brand new offensive scheme and having some young players in there, are they not? Because when I look at the tape, they're not always getting physically dominated, and I see some things and some people just coming free. That I said, okay, that's a mental mistake. That's a mental breakdown. You know,
I think that's the big problem of our offensive line.
Yeah.
It's completely mental breakdowns.
yeah,
It's
on the
not that-
worst time.
Yeah, it's not like we don't have the guys to do it. It's
Yeah.
mentally they're not in a cohesive unit to where they're feeding off of each other's energy and
Yeah.
reading the actual situation.
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
worried about this is my goal,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
not, well, if this fails, what's next?
yeah,
They don't have that backup with the cohesion that they should have.
yeah, yeah.
that also goes to the continuity issue, right? It's like I know my brother has my back if I slide a little bit to the right. You know,
It's that keyword hope.
but okay. So here goes an example, right? Go back to looking at those old LOB situations, and you'll find those times where Richard and Earl were fighting or arguing on the field. I know where you're usually at, Earl, and Earl is telling Richard, hey, yeah, but you're not where I normally know you were going to be at. So I have to trust in you. It's the Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright situation. I know what hole you're going to fill, Bobby. I know where I need to be at, KJ, when the time comes. We talked about it with the defensive line last week.
Yep.
Right? When we talked about the defensive line, it's that smack on the butt to say, hey, D-line, D-tackle, nose tackle, I'm going here, you're going there.
Yep.
With the offensive line, and we talked about this too. We talked about Russell Wilson and them taking things off the table for him when it came to the line protections and sliding the line. I don't always know your verbiage in a certain situation. And sometimes that causes problems. Those are the mental things. Those are the things that have to happen. We have to know what it means when we say we want to Desert Storm. They calling out plays. Well, we know that they're coming on this side of the line to attack us. They're blitzing us from this side. So we know that when we call that particular protection, we're sliding over, right? It's the difference in the nuance. Well, here goes the problem. Mike Jarrell just played his second game, third game. You know what I'm saying? You got Bradford and Haynes switching in and out
All the time.
And you don't know which one is going to. So now you're talking about, again, if we got Lucas coming back, we feel, okay, well, Lucas is physically capable, if he's healthy, to handle that right tackle position, right? We're having issues with the center snapping the ball. There's so many different issues going on that offensive line that the continuity and the trust is not there, and it cannot be there until you put enough snaps. I'm thinking like you got 100 snaps in consistently with this offensive line to really understand what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. There has to be communication. You know what I'm saying? Being attached at the hip with your compadre in battle means a lot. It's almost like when you watch a running back trying to find a hole. Again, here goes another problem, right? The patience that a running back has to have to know that a hole is going to open, and the consistency of knowing that hole opens is not there. Everything is so inconsistent, and they don't know each other. And no matter how long we sit down and we can have pillow fights at night over the weekend or whatever the situation is, we still don't know each other that well when it comes to playing on that field together. And that's the problem.
Do you think part of our cohesion stems from players that don't show up to mini camps and hold out at the beginning of the season?
Yeah. It's like I said, I think I said this week one I expected some inconsistent play, offense and defense. I expected it. New coaching staff, two systems being implemented, and trying to figure that out. And even if Abe Lucas comes back, he's missed a lot of football, and he's going to be engrafted into a new offensive scheme himself. Communication is going to be an issue. Cohesiveness is going to be an issue. So it's a long shot to you would have to try to make things simpler, dumb it down. How much of that is coaching? How much of the offensive line is it really coaching, or is it really talent in the players, right? I look at Connor, he's one of the best centers. We got one of the best young tackles. Guard was supposed to be an upgrade. Remember in the offseason? Guard was supposed to be an upgrade this year. and it seems to be a downgrade. From what we had, it was like a lot of hype. So it comes to my next topic right here. So if it's O-line and D-line that we're having issues with the line of scrimmage, right? The game starts at the line of scrimmage, okay? Off-season, you're not going to fix it with one player, one addition. Free agency, the draft. But you do have a lot of talent in the back end. Skill position. So I'm going to ask you, which player outside of the line of scrimmage becomes an attractive player to trade? An attractive player to get better on the offensive line. Now, I'll have my suggestion. Now, I suggest a player that's have a lot of upside and some struggles. Came in as a rookie, flashed, right? He's a little bit grabby. He's kind of turned into what's his name? Browner. He's kind of turned into Browner. You know what I mean? Oh, he's like Browner who don't like to hit. So with that being said, I'm thinking Woolen. I think Woolen is a good player piece to move, right? We've done well without him in some games that he was injured. Tremendous upside. Someone's gonna break the bank with him. But would you rather have
someone needs him? But
yeah,
does that team that needs him have an offensive lineman that we need?
Exactly, or some draft capital to address the line, to be able to move up in the draft, just to get extra players, more picks, more opportunity. So you've got to. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're going to make some moves in the offseason. You're going to let some people go. You're not going to be able to pay everybody. You're not going to be able to break the bank with DK Metcalf and then turn around and break the bank with Woolen and break the bank with number 11. Well, I can't think of his name right now. Jackson Smith. Yeah, you're not going to be able to pay everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, JSN ain't going nowhere.
Spoon's coming up in a couple years too. He's going to want top market money.
He's trade capital.
Think so?
I would love to keep JSN.
I love Spoon.
No, well, Spoon too, but I could see JSN being thrown on the trading block because of his tremendous upside right now.
No, I don't.
I don't see us doing it, but I could see it happening.
Yeah.
It is, but sometimes in sports in general, you have to take that leap and hope that your leap is right. Look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers did it this year. They took a leap hoping that Shohei was going to be a tremendous athlete and also signed that Yoshinobu Yamamoto guy.
You can always find a slot receiver, though.
The mound in the American.
Come on.
There is a major difference in football and baseball.
Yeah, it takes more skill to play baseball.
Youth in baseball. Youth in baseball.
Have a longer career in baseball.
Well, trading prospects has value, right?
Yes.
They're not making any money. Jackson Smith and Jigma is not making any money right now, right?
Correct.
But he is your future. Well, watch it. Well, watch this. You said that you can actually replace the slot receiver easily.
I didn't say I could replace him.
Lavelle said that. You can always find one. And we might even have one. We might even already have one. The problem is next year, a lot of us are thinking Tyler's not coming back. Tyler might be retiring.
Especially since he just found out he's having a baby.
So you have a star, a budding star in Jackson Smith and Jigba who has, 2 more years before he gets paid? He's a first round pick, so he gets that 5th-year option, right? Well, we get to make that 5th-year option on him.
Yeah,
and he won't get paid what this guy that I think we should get rid of makes. I saw a team that actually could have beat the Rams this past weekend without DK Metcalf.
Yep. Yeah.
And when DK is the guy who essentially, to me, in my mind, in my thought process, when we ask what is the reason that Pete Carroll got fired, I say it was DK Metcalf. And let me tell you why. When they asked the question during a press conference, last year to Pete Carroll, and they asked Pete, do the players listen to you? And the question says, well, he answered, says, you have to go and ask them. That question was prompted by a statement about DK Metcalf and the penalties that he had racked up over the past season, right? And DK said, I don't pay no attention to that board. Oh, you're not paying attention to the program? You're not paying attention to the process? So what people realize is that Pete lost the team already. Yep. So now what we're talking about is I love DK Metcalf, what he brings to this team as far as the physicality on offense. Yeah. I love the fact that he's a big dude. And this is going to sound stupid. Run. Well, this is going to sound stupid when I say it. Cody White looked really good last week. Cody White. Remember you kept asking me, so who this white dude? Who the white dude? Yep. I said, oh, you talking about the Cody White? I said, yeah, Cody White. Well, you said, well, who was white? You said, who's white? And I was like, well, maybe the dude. I said, you can't keep talking about Scott like that. No, what we said, but we start talking about Cody White, right? And you were talking about how he was making plays, and he made play after play after play. It doesn't matter how far it was when you got picked or where you got drafted at. It's what you produce on the field. That's all I care about. And DK is one of those cats that they keep talking about could bring in a haul. I don't think he brings in that big of a haul, but I think he could give you at least a first, second, maybe a package of a second, third, first, third, something along that lines. If we're talking about trying to find an actual offensive lineman that is going to fit in this system and actually work in this program, that's a whole different question. I can tell you who's the most valuable that we can move without losing a whole lot, and I would say that's Metcalf. But I don't know that you're going to bring back the actual talent because I question the talent evaluation when it comes to offensive linemen in this system right now. And this is something that's been going on for about 12, 13 years now. Remember, the offensive line that we had when we went to the Super Bowl, that was Holmgren's line. That was the line that Holmgren put together, right? When Pete Carroll came in, he had Unger, they had McQuiston, they had Columbus, they had all these guys who were a part of that line, right? Breno Giacomini was part of that line. The one piece that Carroll brought in was Russell Okung to solidify that left side of the line. So I don't trust them to actually make the right decisions because when they went out and they tried to fix the line, hold on. Matter of fact, when they went out and got Jimmy Graham and you traded Max Unger, that has been one of the things that has been the detriment to this program for the last 10 years.
I know we're all over the place. Jimmy Graham is one of those things where that just messed up his whole career coming to Seattle when you have a system and really don't know how to use them. Russ, the wrong quarterback. Don't know how to throw him.
Did we not
open.
know how to use him, or did we just not use him?
Don't know how to use him.
I beg to differ. I think we know how. I think we just chose not to.
Nah. I mean, you can see him. Quarterback just don't know how to throw. How can I say it? No. This is good. Russell Wilson has been accused of throwing to people who are wide open, but understanding that you have a target like that who's always open. So you have to throw it to certain spots. Like Drew Brees knew how to throw it to somebody who was covered but can throw him open. Drew Brees is a total different passer than a Russell Wilson. That's just facts. But yeah, but when you get, I want to talk about the DK real quick because DK has been mentioned in the same breath as Megatron. Okay, and I have the perfect argument when we talk about which one is better or potential.
You have the perfect argument, or you believe that it's the perfect argument.
I have the perfect argument. Perfect argument for us to argue.
Let's hear it.
For us to argue. Perfect argument. Well, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Michael Jordan has been known to be like he has a different dimension of grace and fluency. LeBron James gets to the hole with physicality. Megatron was a much more smoother, fluid route runner. DK gets open by being physically dominant. So it's two different styles.
And faster.
What's that?
And faster.
Yeah,
DK
but Megatron
gets open with his speed.
But Megatron ain't slow now. Megatron was clocked in at 4.38 coming into the combine. So he's if it's you're talking
but he
about,
was never invited to Olympic time trials.
No, he's not. No, he's not. But he's much more fluid, and has a better hands to me. Megatron had than DK.
I think he had better hands in wide open space, but DK has much better hands in coverage. DK is that guy that you can throw, and as long as you're within arm's reach, he was snagging it out of the air.
I don't know. I think sometimes DK be cooking with too much butter. I don't know.
This year, yeah, he'd be dropping all kinds of shit.
Cooking with too much
butter. Prior
butter.
to this year, DK was known for making that. I'm covered by two guys, and I'm just going to go up, and I'm going to grab it out from in front of him.
Yeah.
This year, you can't seem to hit him in the chest and him catch the ball.
Yeah.
I told you, he stopped dyeing his hair.
He said he lost his edge because of his hair color.
Look at last season. Look at the last 3 seasons. Every game, he had his hair a different color. It was pink one game, purple another, blue another, green another. This year, he ain't dyed his hair once.
No.
And ain't playing nowhere near the stats that he has the last 3 years.
Oh my goodness!
I think the chemicals released his brain to where he could think.
But actually, I was.
And this is coming from a guy who dyes his own hair.
I was most excited when I heard we was getting Grubb because of DK Metcalf. I said if any coordinator who's going to know how to use him will be Grubb, and he's going to test him going deep. I would hate to see DK go. I really do. And I hope that somehow we can get some type of continuity with the offensive line that we can at least give him at least 2.3 seconds on average instead of 1.8. So we're gonna see, man. This bye week is gonna give us the opportunity to really fine tune some things from a mental perspective. And I hope and pray that the next time we play, that the offense and the defense comes to play. Because that's what we need, a full game from the offense and the defense. So, hey, the jury's still out on the Seattle Seahawks. So now, what do we got here?
Read that title. Ain't that some?
Wow. Hey, but the next topic I want to talk about is something that we haven't talked about a lot. Is the Dallas Cowboys.
What's there to talk about?
So outside of Smiths, we have somebody else who is kind of like slippery going downhill, and that's Dak Prescott, right? And the Dallas Cowboys. And noted that Jerry Jones didn't do anything to improve his roster in the offseason, knowing they had some holes. What is wrong with Dallas? What is wrong with Prescott? I remember Prescott as a rookie coming in, just taking the job, preseason, lights out, just balling. But what has happened year after year seems like a regression from just from the eye view, it looked like he's a baller. It looks like he's a baller, but it just seems like he's not himself. He's injured. What was the status on him? Is he having surgery?
On
DK. Not DK, Dak
Derek
Prescott.
Carr? Oh, Dak. I didn't see anything on Dak.
Okay.
I saw Derek Carr.
Oh, it's Derek Carr? Okay.
Yeah.
But
Derek Carr's having surgery.
Okay, but Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. What is wrong with the Cowboys? Is it Jerry Jones? Is it not bringing in the right coach? Is it not signing Henry in the offseason? Is it not shoring up the running back, the other wide receiver position? What is it about the Cowboys? Like I told you, culture is everything. And they just seem like it's a circus. Just, I'm not in the locker room, but just from the perspective, it just seems like it's a circus. It's a media circus. That's something that Jerry Jones has created. That we are nominating them as the America's team, which should be the Steelers. You know, if it wasn't for the downslide of the Patriots, it should have been the Patriots. But it seemed like the Steelers are more of America's team. When you're talking about consistency across the board through generations. What's going on with the Cowboys? Got some more batteries?
That's a loaded question. So when Dak first came in, he had Ezekiel Elliott, a young Ezekiel Elliott. He had an offensive line. The one thing that you can always look at with Dallas is Dallas always is going to focus on the main thing and keep the main thing, and that's that offensive line. As long as they had a strong running game that could take the pressure off a young quarterback coming in, it's a thing that they could always hang their hat on. I think right now the running game is not what they thought it would be. I don't think it's what they hoped it would be. You're talking about. I don't think that they have all the weapons that they need. CeeDee Lamb, and pay attention to this, right? There was money spent in this offseason. There was money spent with CeeDee Lamb. There was money spent with Dak Prescott. So when you look at both of those situations, how do you pay? Because how do you pay to bring in more talent? How do you keep more talent that way? And realistically, I think right now there's a few teams right now that we're looking at, Seattle's included in that, trying to figure what is their next direction. How do we need to try to stay afloat or tank? Can we still be viable in this playoff race, or should we be trying to figure out how do we get to a higher draft pick? Dallas has kind of been that team that has been in the middle of the draft for the last, 5, 6, 7 years now. They're not at the top of the draft. They're not far enough at the back end of the draft that they can trade down and maybe pick up extra picks in the second round. But they are a solid, I don't even want to say mediocre, but they're a solid middle of the road team. And I don't think that Dak is the issue that fixes that. It's more or less when you're looking at the Cowboys, unfortunately, I'm thinking you might be just looking at the Seahawks the same way they are right now. Because honestly, there's so many things that go into trying to fix what's wrong. We here in Seattle can look at Seattle and say and pinpoint that offensive line is the issue currently. I believe, you ready for this? You've been waiting for me to say this all year long. I believe they have fixed that defense. The fact that you take Dotson out of playing out of position and you bring Ernest Jones in to play his position and to move him over fixes that, I believe. But when we're talking about Dallas, the question that you threw out is, what is it, and how do we fix it? I mean, Jerry might be a problem. Jerry, being in that front office, thinks that this is the way that things should work, and that they always have done this, and we should always. And McCarthy, as the head coach, I think when McCarthy was in Green Bay, he didn't think he needed a running back.
I think Jerry Jones' problem is, like that article I just showed you points out, Dallas is still living on those 8 Super Bowl rings they got.
Yeah.
The article literally pointed out that out of all the teams that need a Super Bowl championship right now to revive their fandom, to revive the team and everything, they were number 5 on the list. The Browns were number 1. But it literally said that Dallas's problem is because they are living in the past. And I kind of think San Francisco 49ers fans are doing the same thing because, all you ever hear about them is, oh, we got 5 rings. We got 5 rings. That's nice. Your 5 rings were 20 years ago.
Yeah, the problem with being a high prestige sports team, whatever level it is you're always being hunted. I think when we look at, I remember when the Sonics, Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, like why is the recipe that you guys seem to always dominate the Knicks? And they said, well, us coming from a small market, he said, man, we get up for the Knicks on a different level. That's the national stage. That's the thing. So when we go to New York, we go to New York to crush them, right? And I think when you look at the Cowboys now, I'm just trying to picture myself being a first-round pick or second round or whatever, and I'm playing the Cowboys. You know what I mean? There's a different like jack up or intensity playing them. They're going to be all over SportsCenter. They're going to be talking. They're going to be all over every podcast. Everyone's Cowboys. So to play the Cowboys or the Steelers, right? That's your Super Bowl, and I think that the Cowboys just don't have that it to match that. That's just my opinion. Not enough dogs, or so to speak, or not, or can Dallas
not enough bite in the dog?
Yeah, or just don't have that that underdog mentality. How could you when you're just always paraded around the whole world as the greatest team? And it's box office. They're box office, right? They're box office. They could be box office with a losing record.
Yeah, box office flops.
The question at the beginning of every NFL season is, and that's outside of Dallas. You can turn on SportsCenter, right? You can turn on Fox Sports 1. The question is this Dallas's year?
Every sports station does that.
Every year
It doesn't matter what
year?
sports channel you're watching.
I mean, I think that they are basically bitten by the expectation of what they could be. Even when you look at the roster and you say they don't have the talent up and down the board or the depth up and down the board, the question is always going to be, are they going to be this year's dark horse to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Dallas, when you say the Cowboys, it's also mentioned in the same breath as Super Bowl. And is that fair? No.
No, they're
Because
still being lived up to the Troy Aikman times.
But they still got to figure out how to beat the Eagles. I mean, realistically, that division is the Eagles. And now guess what? Now you done brought the Commanders in, which you just cut your defensive coordinator. So he went to the Commanders to take over, and now he's running another juggernaut in your division.
Yep.
So
that's why you don't trade in divisions, and you don't want to lose coaches to division.
But that was an upward move though, and there was no way that you could block him from actually getting that job. And why would you want to be the organization that stopped somebody from becoming a head coach again? You know what I'm saying? So at the same token, they have a lot to deal with, because not only do they have to fix their own problems, they got two beasts to deal with, and that's the Eagles with Saquon Barkley. Why they didn't go out and try to get Saquon? Why they didn't go out and try to get Saquon?
Speaking of Saquon, do you see his backwards leap over the defender?
Saquon Barkley is a different type of individual, man.
After that too.
Hey, and I guarantee you, I guarantee you, it came back good. Look.
I am a big fan of Saquon. I think he is a phenomenal player, and he's what the NFL needs, is more players like him. Not just for the Eagles, not just for the Giants, not just for the Seahawks. The league needs players like that, because players that can do those one-off plays where they just leap up and just happen to leapfrog over a guy backwards are what draws fans to the game.
Yeah, but that's just fan service. But when we really look at it and say, okay, well, he's a generational talent. Remember, when he was drafted at a time that they were saying, oh, we don't draft running backs in the first round.
Yep.
First round draft pick.
Yep.
Number one, we take Saquon. You know, so when you start talking about backs, he's on the level that you talk about LaShawn McCoy. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about, I think Bijan Robinson is in that talk. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott is in that talk.
Definitely.
Jackson, early.
But that's that type of talent. And what we have lacked, and you're right, what we have lacked across, we go back to the old days, right? We all in our 40s, we recognize and we understand old school football, right? Yep. There is not a roster that when we were growing up did not have that type of generational talented running back. You go I mean, like, go up and down the board. We'll talk about them. As a matter of fact, from our era, most of them cats is getting in the Hall of Fame or went into the Hall of Fame already. You go from the Thurman Thomases down to the Marshall Faulks, all the way across the boards to the Emmitt Smiths and back to what's that boy that played up in New York?
Lawrence Taylor?
Thomas, the boy that won the Super Bowl. Yeah. He was Otis. Was it Otis Thomas? I can't remember what his name was. But anyway, the Giants.
The Giants.
When they won them he was that dude that won him and Dave Meggett and him.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, you say, okay, well, we have generational talent. When I look at Dallas right now, do I see generational talent?
Nope.
I see CeeDee Lamb. I see Lamb could. He's a good receiver, well above average. He's in that upper echelon of receivers right now. But how many of those receivers are generational talents? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
Yep, Jamar Chase.
And you could just keep going up and down. So Dak Prescott, I don't see
15 yards taunt along the goal line.
Well, I don't see them putting a gold jacket on Dak. I think the only cat that was even out knocking on the door in Dallas was probably Parsons at one point. So I mean, realistically, Seattle doesn't really have that great generational talent yet. DK could, but when I see CeeDee Lamb, I could look at CeeDee Lamb and compare him to Tyler Lockett. As far as what he provides to the team, Tyler Lockett makes every big catch. Tyler Lockett's the dude that runs up the numbers when he's in a position to do so. So does that make him a generational talent? No.
Lockett don't get credit like he's 12 years old.
Well, and I guess Richard Sherman used to say all the time. Well, when they used to ride in the car, he says, he said, "No, don't you need to put your car seat on?"
That's the thing with Tyler Lockett. He looks like he's 12 years old. He looked like a scrub with his helmet on. But, hey, he is a baller. He's a baller. So
be careful because he might sell you your next house.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's true. That is true. So we're going to go into commercial. We're going to hit the transition button. So we're going to go into a commercial, come back. Well, I know it's Scott that got talk. We want to hit that baseball scene and see who's up and coming next year. Because transition, it should be right. It should be right up. Look on the screen. Go to the screen where it says transition. That's right. All right, we transition to commercial. We will be back.
There you go.
Okay. Hey. Ooh, baby, baby. Ooh, ooh.
This is not karaoke night.
That's bowl ramen. And you know what? What? Wow. To um to this little spot right there in Tacoma, right across from uh Tacoma Hospital. Over there by whichever one the one is Kaiser. Um, they have this. It's a little. It's a little. It's something like that. It's got a little. They got a little shack. It's like a little blue. But this